Hello, my name is Eric McAleer with World Strides. Thank you for joining us today in this journey through women's soccer. World Strides is super happy to have partnered with WAGS to interview 5 amazing female soccer players and coaches who can share their own experiences from around the globe. Let me introduce my co-host, Skye. Skye is a former professional player, active coach, and the founder of soccerparenting.com. Our special guest today is Vicky Losada from FC Barcelona. Vicky, thanks so much for joining us. We're delighted to have you here. How is all in sunny Barcelona today, Vicky?
Hi, thank you so much for having me. It's not that sunny today, but things are going well. Thank you.
Good. Good.
Vicky, we're so excited to have this conversation, and I'm especially curious just about sort of how you grew up in the game. It seems like you grew as soccer grew and football grew in Spain as well. So tell us about sort of your early inspirations in the game, if you had any young female mentors in the game growing up.
Well, I started playing football when I was 7 years old, and it was in a boys team because in Spain we have women's team for the last 5-6 years. There wasn't many. So then I joined women's football when I was 12, and I joined Barca's academy only with 14 years old. So I think all my very, very early years of when you learn football, it was already with Barca. And I think it gave me a big opportunity to learn the methodology from when you are just a kid.
Yeah. So what drew you to the game at such a young age? If the other girls weren't playing, and was your family, everyone supportive of you playing?
They were. I was so lucky because I have some friends that they weren't in the same situation, which I think is not fair. It's a bit crazy. Things has changed now, but I'm talking about 15 years ago, which I think it was completely different. And we fought a lot to change the situation. But my mom and dad always support me. So I'm so lucky.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. At what point did you realize I can be a professional footballer? Like, when did that strike you?
It's funny because it came into my head when I was 23 and I left to USA. And I already won 4 leagues with Barca, but we weren't professional, so I never had the feeling that it was my job, you know? We were training 1 hour a day, 3 days per week, which it wasn't professional. Then when I left to USA and I saw everything there, I never could imagine that. And I was like, this is me now. And then I started dedicating my 24 hours of the day to football.
Oh, that's so great to hear. We'll ask you some questions about your experiences with the Western New York Flash and with your other professional experiences. Let me see here with your growing up though. Like we hear so much about, La Masia and the culture there. So what I'm hearing from you, for you growing up when you're 14 and you joined FC Barcelona, the culture there for the girls is something to be appreciated, but it's nothing like what it is for the boys, or was it similar?
In our club, in Barca,
yeah,
everybody works the same way. The under 8 and to the professional, and it happens the same to the women's section. The only thing that has changed now is that there used to be maybe just 4 teams, and now we have about 12-14 teams, which is a massive change. But we all work the same methodology. When you are under 12, you work the same skills, the same tactics, the same way of the physical part. So that's a good thing, I think.
And I think that the great part, just to jump in there, Vicky, is you look at your journey and you've been, you've had such a diverse journey and pathway to where you are today. But you look at your football education, which was heavily influenced by, you know, the number 14 Johan Cruyff, and it's been said that he imprinted the DNA of La Masia with his total football philosophies. Now, when we look at your journey, you've managed to play in United States with Western New York Flash, and you played with Arsenal in the Women's Premier League, and you've experienced other soccer culture from other big clubs. I think my question is really, what's different about the way of La Masia and about the Barcelona youth system and you know, that environment as opposed to the other clubs and organizations that you've been at and played at?
It was completely different. It was different, especially when I left. I already played for Barca in the high level, 7, 8 years, which is a lot, because I think when you grow on the game, you decide which kind of player you want to be and which kind of football you want to play. And then when I left to America, I also left because I wanted to get my physical part better. I wanted to be a stronger player mentally also. But it was hard to me because I couldn't find players to create connections in the pitch. And I was so used to that. And it can sound really easy, but I think the perspective or the view that Barca has looks easy, but it's not. I think you have to train a lot of years to understand the basics of the game.
And I think, you know, just from knowing you for a while, I've actually been at the Barca training ground with yourself, and you gave us a nice little guided tour of the training ground. And I think as you walk into the training ground, you just have an immediate lift because of the environment, because of the history, because of the heritage, because of the culture. Is that something that you've carried with you through the years, Vicky?
In a good way, you mean? Yeah, of course.
Yes, I do.
Always. I think, well, it says Barca is more than a club, right?
Yeah.
And I think I completely agree with that, because they always, since you are a kid, try to take care of your education, your situation at home, your situation, especially joining the club, trying to understand the language, trying to understand the game. And for me now that I'm still young, but I consider myself an experienced player in the team because I've been more than 10 years there. I always try, new players come from other countries, and I'm the one that always tries to show them our values, our history, how everything started. What you see now of women's Barca team, it wasn't like that 10 years or even 5 years ago. And I think we can't lose that. I think it's also my job. I also feel that responsibility as a player.
Yeah, and just from there, do you have any particular, you know, again, you've been at some fantastic clubs between Arsenal and between the New York Flash in America. Do you have, when you look back and you reflect, do you have any, you know, particular highs and lows from your time in America and also your time in England?
First time I left was to America, and still working in my English, but I couldn't say a word, nothing. So it was really hard to live in a country and not even having the confidence to go for a coffee or go to the supermarket. So I think that made me grow quicker as a person, and knowing another culture, meeting new people. And I think everybody should do that. I always say to my little niece, she plays football, you need to go, because I think football gives you the opportunity to learn as a player, but as a person, how to survive in life, how to know yourself. And it was hard. America was hard because it's a completely different game than Spain. Spain is so tactic, like kind of an intelligent game, but I went to America and I love the competitiveness that the league brought me. Them minds, them mentalities is, for me, is one of the best or the best in the world. And I think I learned that from America, from London, and it's something that in Spain, I think it still has to improve a little bit.
Yeah.
That's great. So you played for Espanyol when FC Barcelona got relegated. You went and played for them for a season. We've mentioned a few times now you went and you played for in the NWSL for the Western New York Flash, and you were at Arsenal, but you always came back to Barcelona. It was like back and forth, back and forth. Can you just try to put into words for us what it means to you to play for FC Barcelona?
It's home. It's home. It's Barcelona told me how to play football and also show me how to live, how to be a person, how to be, for me, I like the word athlete. I think that's not a footballer, not a tennis player. I think how to be an athlete. Everything I am now, I think it has a lot to do with Barca. And of course, I spent there 14 years, which is a lot. But I feel so lucky that I had the opportunity to join them when I was just 15 years old.
Yeah. And I think just to follow up from that, Vicky, is I've certainly watched your journey closely through the years, and even I was at the World Cup last year, and you can see that you've just been a consistent leader wherever you've gone. And you know, you think you became the captain of Barcelona in 2013. I think my question is does leadership come easily to you, and how do you, what's your style of leadership? How do you lead? And then the last part of the question, have you had any kind of leadership mentors as you've gone through your journey?
That's, I love that question of the mentor side, because I never had it, and it could be one of my advices if you are just starting. I think it's good to have somebody that is really close to you, you have a good relationship, and they are gonna show you what way to go or which way is not the good one. And I learned having difficulties, basically. And I never decided, I never gave up, never, ever in my life. So it was a tough way for me, but I always like to be outside of my comfort zone. That's because I left.
Yeah.
And I think if I could live that again, I'll bring myself back there for sure. But I think the mentor side is something that is, I think is really new. Maybe in Spain it's not that common. I think in America is. And I think it's really good because I see some players, Carly Lloyd, Abby Wambach, when I went there, that was a normal situation for them. But I think it's really important, especially when you are just a kid and you are learning.
Yeah. Let's spend some time and talk about your international experiences with Spain and the national team program there. Really kind of interested in how that program has evolved. Like, what does this experience for a 16-year-old look like now versus when you were young and coming up in the game with the national team programs?
Yeah, that is a massive change now. I remember I played for the under-17, but we weren't in the official tournament, so we were just training.
Yeah.
And we never had the same opportunities that the girls have now. And you can see as they've won a lot of championships.
Yeah, I mean, the World Cup, the U17s are the World Cup champions now. To think about that, and that wasn't even an opportunity for you.
Yeah, no, never in my life. So I think these opportunities that the girls have now are really important to keep their careers in a good way, and they can learn. And I never had that. And now they're in the first team and they're in the senior team, and they are amazing players already with a strong mentality. And I think that's because all they had in the process to arrive where I am now.
Yeah.
Why do you think have a stronger
Go on.
mentality? I'm curious just to dive into that. You think those players have a stronger mentality now because of
the experience? I think when you play, I'm 29 and I play a Champions League final, one semi-final of Champions League, but I've played before Canada 2015. I used to play maybe 1 or 2 friendly games a year with the national team. I think when you play against the best players and against the best teams, that makes you better. And it also, having more experiences in your life, it teaches you how to solve different situations. And that's, for me, it's a big thing. And they already have that with 20 years old.
Yeah, yeah. I think you mentioned Canada there, Vicky, in 2015. Canada was your first qualification for a World Cup, and then obviously France was the second World Cup that you qualified for. But you scored the first ever World Cup goal for Spain in a match versus Costa Rica. Certainly something for the record books, and I'm sure you look back fondly and very proudly on that time. How did you feel that was a kind of watershed moment for women's soccer in Spain, but also for, you know, a new direction and a new, you know, as you kind of put your name in the record books?
I remember the day, and I was so happy because I never expected. I'm not a scorer. I'm an offensive midfielder, but the normal thing would have been a striker scoring the first goal. And now looking back, it's an honor that I know my name is going to be in the history of our women's football. But I also have that memory of scoring the goal, and right after 2 minutes, right after Costa Rica score, and we draw. So when you are a professional player, that's not enough, and it kind of makes the moment not as nice as it could have been. But now looking back, it's amazing. It's amazing. I'm super, super, super honored that my name is gonna be there.
Yeah. The World Cup experience in Canada wasn't the greatest. You didn't make it out of the group stage. And then just after the tournament, the team really came together. You advocated for yourselves, and I think wrote a letter that encouraged the coach to be fired, and the federation to look into this. Was this like a new thing for the team, having to advocate for yourselves like that, or is that something you feel like you've been doing all along?
I have to say the preparation for Canada for the World Cup, it wasn't good enough, and we knew we were talented players, and we had a really good team to do something big in our first World Cup. And after the games we play, and I think we show, to be the first World Cup, I think we show a good football, but just we were new on it. So I think we needed to be more prepared, and we weren't ready for that. And basically we were just demanding a change that was a need. And it was also a moment that I'll remember forever, because the union of the team, we had really young, I was a young player, and the older players were the ones bringing that leadership, speaking to us, making us comfortable, and we were all one. So I think it was a massive step that we made as a team, and that the country needed for the women's football.
That's what I wanted to ask. Like, was this a change because it was not a good quality coaching environment, or was this more so the women saying, you need to give us more attention, we deserve more from the federation?
I think personally, I think it was both, because the manager, I think it was been there for 27 years, and I think football changes, and you have to keep refreshing football. And also women's football in Spain, we didn't have what we have now, all the environment that's around women's football. And I think it was the moment, because when you play a World Cup, all the attention in Spain was on us. And I think to be honest, we didn't know how powerful we were gonna be until we sent that letter to social media, to all the newspapers, TV. And I think there was before and after.
Interesting. Well, I think, it's certainly been an exciting 4 or 5 years to see the growth and development of the national team. You were certainly dubbed one of the most exciting teams to watch, and a real up-and-coming potential powerhouse on the international scene. Both Skye and myself were at the Women's World Cup in France, and it was a fantastic spectacle. It was just a great event. There was certainly a lot of buzz about Spain in France, and we felt it, and we were excited to watch Spain. Did you feel that energy? Did you feel that level of expectation? Did you feel a different level of pressure on you individually and as a team going into the France World Cup?
I think because it was our second World Cup, everybody had that buzz, how you say, about us. And I think we were unlucky actually against USA. We are ready to play against the best teams in the world. And I think it was so attractive for the fans also, because at the end of the day, when someone goes to watch a game, part of our job is because of the fans.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be interesting. It's a shame USA is not in the Euros, but I think it's going to be interesting for the next years, because I think we're showing a different kind of football, but we're also growing in that part that we never used to be good enough. And I think we're working in the right direction, and it's going to be so good in the future.
And I think a big thing that from that as well, Vicky, is you progressed out of the group stages, finishing runners-up in a very, very good group with China, Germany, South Africa, and you met the US in the round of 16. Tell us about your preparation and mindset about going into the US game. It was obviously a massive game. They were riding high, doing well, and probably one of the pre-tournament favorites.
We knew that if we wanted to go to the next round, or just, let's say, dream about getting into the final, you have to play against the best. And we were so happy that, of course, USA is one of the best. Well, right now is the best. We were so happy that we had to face them.
Yeah.
To be honest, that week was more about the mental side, more about having the players, of course, recovery quick from the last game, but then it was more about feeling good and just focus on the game, because when you get to the World Cup, everything you had to work, you already worked on it. So you don't have to keep working. And we've been playing for a long time together. So it's about, we know America is really tough. And I know it better because in the 20 minutes, my eye was back in Spain. So we knew we had to run a lot. We knew we had to work as a team. And I think we did it. I think we also dreamed about the win. I think we were so close. And after the game, we look at each other and we were like, listen, girls, that's everything. We've left everything on the pitch, and now it's time to go home and keep working to the next.
Yeah.
That's a great attitude. And it's such an exciting environment for you to go home to with the pickup of the club cultures that you have there. Do you feel like, just from going back to sort of the club scene that you have, that you're really well supported, well respected? I mean, I know you set a world record for attendance at a club match with 69,000 fans at a game. Like, is there a lot of positive? Is it a really positive culture for your club environment?
We're growing because I understand sometimes what other countries see is that game, or maybe the game we play in the semifinals that was 15,000, I think. Yeah. But every weekend is not the same. The clubs might have 1,000, 2,000. I think we are, the highest and probably is 4,000, 5,000. So, and they're showing on TV now about 4 games per week, which I think is really good. But we're fighting to get all the games on the weekend, because I think that is so interesting, because I think as soon as we show a game on the TV, society finds it attractive. Yeah. And the audience is really high. So I think sometimes in Spain, everybody used to say women's football is not attractive. Women's football is never going to be shown on TV. No one likes women's football. And in these last 2 years, I think a lot of people has changed that point of view.
That's fantastic. And I think you're right that the TV audience just normalizes the sport. And so young girls being able to watch a female and to be able to grow up dreaming of being you is
starting from education. Yeah, they have to see that every day since they are really, really young. I think it's about making this normal. I don't like the word, but it's actually normal because it wasn't years ago. So
yeah. That's great. So I know you're still playing, but are you doing any coaching? Are you thinking that that's going to?
I'm doing what I can because Barca.
After you. Because sorry. What?
I'm doing what I can because Barca takes a lot of time and is so intense. But yeah, I just finished my first level.
Oh, good.
And I also have the opportunity, as I say, playing for Barca. They have an educational side, and now I'm going to join a few courses because I am pro Barca methodology. I have to say it. I play for Barca, but I am a pro methodology. I love the way they play, and you have to pick in your life what kind of football you like, and it's what I've been learning from years and years. And I also have done for the last 2 years, I do every winter for New Year's a camp where I always wanted to mix boys and girls because it's something that wasn't normal again here. And when I went to America, I actually was surprised. It's funny because I don't know why, but I was surprised that all the camps were mixed. Girls and boys. So I said to me, when I come to Spain, I have to do it. And I'm also doing some master classes for some teams that come from America, Canada. So I think my future is going to be all around football. It's my passion. And I think I have a big opportunity and give the girls also an opportunity to share my story.
Did you ever have any female coaches growing up?
No. No, actually, ever. No, even now.
No. Are there any female coaches at La Masia?
Now is starting now because I think I say my generation or 5 years earlier they are in Spain the first girls that started doing the batches. So now they're ready to start. I have the assistant coach in the national team, which I used to play with her. She's funny because I started when I was really young. And she's the first woman. I think that has to change. That's something that has to change. That when I see more women in our football, it's a good sign of that our sport is growing.
Yeah. And is that driven by the Catalan FA? You know, do they provide coaching opportunities for women? Is that something you see, or is there a lack of that, Vicky?
Yeah, the Catalan Federation does it. The Spanish Federation does it. More clubs now also they do it. and it's a good thing. For example, in the Spanish Federation, they do like an intensive course where you can do your A and B license in 2 months in summer. Yeah. You can be active, you can be still playing because it's from Monday to Friday. And it's free for 10 players that are ex-pro, ex-professional players. And then now 2 women are in the project, which are with the scholarship and everything. And I think it's really good. For example, I have a friend now that she's doing the course and she's with Marcos Sena, Morientes, Cazorla. I think they've been playing football. That's a reality. They've been playing football for more years than us. So I think it's normal because they always say women's, men. I think it's normal. Women's has been in the football in Spain for 50, 60 years. Men, many more. So I think it's also good to learn from them. And I think it's good that they also let us join the big courses that the Spanish Federation is offering.
Yeah, very much so. And I think our final question here, Vicky, and this has been wonderful, as our final question really is, what do you want to say to aspiring female players and coaches in the girls and women's game who are empowering them and advocating for their soccer journey? What's your kind of message to players and coaches coming through?
I think sport is an amazing opportunity that life gives you to learn about your day-to-day, about how you know yourself, about how have targets, have dreams, and fight for them. And especially for the girls, we are fighting and to open more doors for them, and they're going to have more opportunities. And I think they have to take advantage of it. They have to fight. They'll have bad moments, but they also have good moments. And when they realize, they look back and they will be a completely different person. I think being an athlete is for me, I feel so lucky. I feel so blessed.
Great. Well, this has been an absolute pleasure, Vicky, and just behalf of Skye and myself, we are so thankful for the time that you've spent with us. It's been awesome watching your journey closely. And there's still a long part of that journey to go. It's certainly nowhere near finished yet, but we so appreciate you joining us, and thank you for being with us.
Thank you. It was my pleasure. Thank you so much. Really good.
Thank you, Vicky. We'll speak to you very soon. Take care.
Thank you. Take care.
Well.